What is something super important that is on the verge of happening? The first human corneas have been 3D printed by scientists. They cannot be used for human eyes yet, but in the future, the technique could be used to ensure an unlimited supply of corneas required for cornea transplants. A huge revamp in how we recycle. We used to send everything to China, but they stopped taking our crap. China is focusing on China's trash, and we tried to do the same, but many companies are getting very picky with what they will collect. It's going to come down to some sort of compromise between consumer and producer to make less waste in general. Right now very little of what we put in recycling bins is recycled. For some positivity, we're on the verge of having a net positive increase in trees rather than decrease. Apparently we're already at or near a net zero. Doesn't mean you should stop caring though. I wouldn't know where to start, but do some research on Zimbabwe if you are interested. Friend of mine moved to South Africa from Zim, had over 100 farm animals. She shot and killed all of them because guerrilla fighters are going around Zimbabwe brutally killing and torturing animals and people, and they were a day away from her farm. She wanted to give her animals a peaceful death. Was about to happen but now has. Number 3 in the Catholic Church worldwide is spending his first night behind bars for child sex offenses. Man, this thread really makes me want to ignore everything and just play video games. Frown. Fusion energy. Every week a new result comes out where the plasma has been kept stable longer, at higher temperature, etc. With the international collaboration on building first prototypes of positive net energy fusion reactors, we will change the world overnight. Free energy, very little pollution, basically forever. Edit. This seems to be getting some traction. I'll put a few things I found interesting here, since I cannot keep replying since I really have to get some work done today as well. Many comments are skeptical, and rightly so. Fusion is a bit of a running joke that's always just around the corner. I believe this time it's different. This is a nice brief vid that does a lot better job of explaining why than I could. The second most heard reply is that if it happens, it will be ridiculously expensive. Here's a nice paper with a thorough analysis of the costs involved that impressed me. Hint, it's not expensive. Will we get other renewables faster and cheaper than fusion? Could be. We'll have to see. I don't much care as long as we get off the fossils. Last week, a Pakistani-based terrorist blew up a bus, killing 41 Indian soldiers in the disputed territory of Kashmir. India blamed Pakistan for the attack and swore revenge. Pakistan had replied saying that India takes revenge, they will retaliate. Yesterday, a group of Indian fighter jets crossed into Pakistani airspace, conducted an airstrike on the terrorist camp in Pakistani territory. If true, this could start an Indian-Pakistani war, where both countries are nuclear powers. Update: looks like the verge of happening actually happened. Pakistan shot down 2 Indian fighter jets and captured one of the pilots. India has also apparently shot down a Pakistani fighter jet. George Pell going to jail. Making organs from stem cells. Hurry up already, science. I need a kidney. As Wi-Fi covers more and more of the country, phone companies will lose their ability to charge exorbitant prices because telephony will be available everywhere. Magic Jack will be all you need, all calls and texts running through the internet. Children dressing up for their homecoming dance, and the theme is 2000s. Within a decade or so there will be an explosion in the number of people in their 50s and 60s that require a place in a residential nursing care home. If you look at the age of the population in care homes at present, they are mostly very elderly people that in their youth and middle age had active jobs or lived active lives without even really trying. They walked to the store, walked to work or cycled, and the housewives were active in their day-to-day activities, not to mention the amount of people in manual labor. They also ate fairly healthy diets and in the main were not obese. Today many people sit at a desk all day and eat rubbish. The vast majority do not keep themselves active or do any kind of resistance and cardio workouts to balance that. Obesity rates are such that we have people in their mid-40s that find it difficult to mobilize themselves and have pain when walking or getting out of a chair. I was speaking to an orthopedic surgeon a while ago about this issue, connected to my work, and his view was that a lot of people are focusing on diabetes as the ticking time bomb health-wise, when in reality the amount of health and mobility issues caused by obesity will hit just as hard. So within a decade or two we will see the youngest population ever acquiring nursing care due to immobility. Another India-Pakistan war. The launch of the James Webb Space Telescope. It will bring us a new notion to space and reality. Brexit. Not the vote, but the actual action of Britain leaving the EU. The deadline is on March 29 and there is currently no plan to solve the trade issues and border disputes that were solved by Britain being in the EU. I live in developing country. The glut of fake news wreaks havoc in day-to-day life wherein not-so-educated people are not at all able to differentiate them and they treat WhatsApp forwards as absolute truth. These fake news are impacting people on sensitive issues such as religion. If not controlled, these would have devastating consequences. IMO. Edit 1, people are asking about what it all has to do with religion. Some power groups use social media channels to spread false news about wrongdoings of other groups to incite hatred against particular religions and radicalize people, leading to communal riots. This has all become part of vote bank politics. SpaceX is launching the first test flight of their new manned capsule this weekend. When they launch, it will be the first human-rated flight to launch on US soil since the end of the space shuttle. Malaria vaccine. There are dozens of promising candidates in early trials right now and hopefully at least one will be highly effective and affordable. This will be not only a huge game changer for eliminating malaria and improving the lives of hundreds of millions of people, but it will also mark a huge scientific success as the first vaccine against a complicated parasitic organism. Hopefully we will gain key insights from this process to be able to develop new vaccines for other complex organisms, such as HIV, TB, and influenza. Also, if you are an anti-vaxxer, fuck you. Came to this thread to see the many advancements in technology. Left afraid of a nuclear apocalypse or death by supervirus. The star Betelgeuse is likely to go supernova during this century. To understand how important this is, it will be the first Milky Way supernova since 1861, and by far the brightest supernova in recorded human history. Betelgeuse is very close by, a supergiant, ca 1000x the Sun, and already one of the brightest stars in the night sky. When it explodes, it's likely going to be brighter than the full moon for many months. Visible even during daytime. Between 1993 and 2009 it got 16% smaller, collapsing at a rate of 213 meters per second, and the rate is increasing. A financial bubble on student loans that'll lead to a recession and a complete restructuring of the way student loans are given out. A Pakistan-India war that could result in the use of modern nuclear warheads. Tensions have been building consistently between these two countries and straight-up nuclear war is a distinct possibility. Edit, to clarify what this means, what's likely is an escalation in conflict. Legitimate all-out war, but not likely nuclear attacks. Neither country benefits from the get-go by doing that, and it's even more likely that their own destruction would be guaranteed. However, it's still a possibility, especially if one side appears to be catastrophically losing. India lost 41 troops in a single terrorist attack recently, and Pakistan still appears to be funding these groups. 2 warplanes were shot down, and overall the situation appears to be escalating far above the regular skirmishes on the hotly contested border. That being said, you shouldn't be incredibly afraid of nuclear war. Nukes are quite simply a last resort, and basically a suicide pill for any country that uses them. All in all, don't expect them, but don't expect sunshine and rainbows over there either. This is likely to be kept isolated to the region and nothing more. Something about an iceberg twice size of New York, that was quite literally the post before this one on my feed. Titanic 2 setting sail. I'm teaching my cat how to high five. Not a global thing, but I haven't walked in over half a year due to injury, and I get to start trying to walk tomorrow. So that's super important for me. Update: it went great. It was kinda painful, but I was able to hobble around like a champ in my opinion. The doc says keep the amount that I try walking per day to a minimum, but that I should be back up and about in no time. Thanks for the silvers and golds everyone, I've never gotten those before. Breakthroughs in graphene cells and batteries. Right now we're stuck with lithium because graphene doesn't store large capacities of power very long, but once we're through that hurdle, it'll be no exaggeration to say you'll have smartphones that charge from 0 to full in a matter of seconds, electric cars which will almost never have to stop for charge because the charge pads on roads will keep them topped off, and in general the stagnation of high-end tech will end, since for a lot of things like processors, the main thing currently holding us back is the amount of energy they can draw. America is currently in the second Gilded Age, and there is no guarantee that a Teddy Roosevelt escape candidate is going to be president in 2020. Recession time. The Special Olympics World Games will happen in 2